Welcome to our review show, our conversational review show.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Tyrone.
Good evening, G-Dow.
What's happening, son?
Today we're talking about Shutter Island, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Emily Mortimer, Ben Kingsley, Mark Ruffalo, and beautiful Michelle Williams.
You find a lot of these
Max
women
von
beautiful,
Sydow.
though. You know that. You know, every time you see a beautiful woman, you have to mention.
I don't find any actress not beautiful. Tell us a little bit about the film, Shutter Island, a little premise.
A premise. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, who is Marshall Teddy Daniels, who goes to him and his partner Mark Ruffalo, Marshall Chuck Owale, played by Mark Ruffalo, go to investigate a disappearance on a mysterious island, otherwise known as Shutter Island.
Yeah. This island houses
It's like it's
the looniest of loons.
Yeah, think of like sort of Batman, Arkham Asylum almost. It's where they keep all the loonies. And one of the loonies has gone missing, so they've commissioned Marshall Teddy Daniels to investigate the crime. Upon doing so, stumbles across, a couple of characters, obviously. Ben Kingsley, who's Dr. John Corley.
Who heads up Shutter Island. One of the heads,
yeah.
So it's an investigation of this disappearance and
of this woman. I mean, I think that's
Leo.
all the audience at this stage needs to know.
Cool. So let's jump right into what you thought of the film.
I was not disappointed. I'll say that. As a total, I think it's a good film. I don't think, however, I do believe it had the potential to be a great film. Execution-wise, I cannot fault it in terms of cinematically, filmically, even as far as performances go. Can't fault it there whatsoever. I can fault it on one level that I thought it could have been even greater film. In terms of my critique of the film, or what I thought of the film, very basically, I'm a huge Scorsese fan. Who isn't? So every film he does, you look forward to. I looked forward to this film for a very long time. Killer cast, killer dynamics in terms of characters, performance. My only pushback with regards to this film is that I believed that the narrative could have done something, in my mind, this is just a personal thing, to have made it one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. If you're comparing apples with apples on this, psychological mysteries or thrillers on this level, there aren't a few that are going to touch it for a little while, and haven't for a little while before this. And yes, very multi-layered in terms of the narrative and story, definitely, on many levels.
Shutter Island had so much more to it thematically that it had to deal with. It dealt with the Holocaust, it dealt with post-war trauma, it dealt with a character dealing with aggression, a character dealing with loss, a character dealing with characters dealing with loss of family. It dealt a lot in psychological themes. It was at the time when Freud was doing psychoanalysis, so you had Ben Kingsley experimenting and opening the film, saying that he's treating the patients by talking to them instead of what they did in Clockwork Orange, where they applied physical abuse to the patient. So there were so many themes that this film had to do with.
Something that I particularly loved about it, for me, was the DOP. And so distinctive is this DOP style that I didn't know who shot it.
DOP being?
Director of photography.
The
The person, the cameraman. Such a distinctive style that I didn't know who had shot it. I sat in that film and I said, this is Robert Richardson, and just clicked now because I saw that it's him. And I have to say, visually outstanding film and very distinctive, and I'll tell you what makes him distinctive is he uses a lot of top light, and thematically it works so well in this with the contrast when you're dealing with psychological thriller.
And also in his flashbacks there were different looks.
Brilliant, different looks.
No, it's one of the best looking films one's going to see.
For a very long time. Cinematically beautiful movie, and will have you, sort of on the edge of your seat. And I know because I saw it with my girlfriend. She was, eyes closed, ears closed, because she was like dreading certain moments in the movie, and so on that level it definitely engages or has an impact on an audience, which is good, because that's what we go to movies for. We go there for an experience, and you're definitely going there on it for an experience, and because it's a multi-layered movie, you'll go there for different reasons. So on all those levels it succeeds.
I don't think, as excited about this film. I was actually a bit worried, and that's what also has helped in making me love the film, because I wasn't preempting even enjoying the film, because I saw the trailer, and I think a lot of people were excited about the aspect that it was going to be more like the trailer, where it wasn't.
So that's why I just, so our audience is aware, if I could, I would, even though we are doing a review show, I would negate any form of preemptive thought before watching a movie. I try my best to not be tainted whatsoever, as much as possible. And I know you don't, because you're totally absorbed in a lot of these things. For me, I love being completely untainted, watching the film, and then thereafter realizing what the world thought. Because for me, it's more important what I feel and experience, and not having expectations.
I enjoyed so much more of it from a visual literacy perspective. There was a car explosion in the film, and it's just coming to mind, and I thought it was done so beautifully. I loved the themes that it dealt with. So
poetic. I'll say this from my side, visually poetic, and that's where I think the film is brilliant. I mean, like I said, you could never better crew behind that, from director to DOP team.
So we say technically, but I'll just say that from my side, what we would need to accept is an ending, and the fact that it was a twist ending has no relevance for me.
For you personally, sure, and for whoever's out there that is relevant for.
Most people, it's relevant for.
And from that perspective, understand that that might be a place that most people have a problem with.
Sure.
That's it.
Essentially. No, I think that more people are liking this film than I would have actually anticipated. If I watched this film, I wouldn't have projected it doing this box office. I mean, already the film costing $80 million has grossed $200 million just in the cinemas, and it's still got a bit of a run, and it's proving to be very successful. $100 million used to be a high grossing film. Now it's on double that.
For me and people out there, just want to understand something. Are you saying, for you, Tyrone Rubin, endings don't matter?
I'm saying I don't think they matter for all films, and I'm saying...
So they don't matter for all films? You're going on record, eh?
No, I'm saying that they don't matter for... not all films hinge on...
Okay.
Sorry, I'm saying that not all films hinge on an ending.
I kind of understand where you're coming from.
I'm thinking that
there was a stage...
Synecdoche specifically. I was going to say Magnolia doesn't hinge on an ending, but it does. But that's a perfect example. There is no ending in Magnolia. There are films, and if you look at literature, and I had an argument with someone else who watched that there are films where they try and not make it. They capture either a moment in someone's life.
I think your point's made, and I understand that. But would I be wrong in saying that they definitely intended this film to have a specific ending? An intended ending. Like Magnolia, perhaps they didn't feel as much emphasis on the ending, whereas this film is definitely an emphasis. Am I right or wrong?
I do agree with you on that. I'll have to admit that I might watch it tonight and agree with you on the point of the ending. I'll say specifically that I don't mind the way it ended.
Yeah.
As far as endings go, we don't want this whole show to be about film endings.
But
I don't think, and I also think that if it did stay true to the literature, and that's how the book ended, then I'm happy with it. But we need to veer off from the ending now. And like I said, I think the film's great. I think it's 8 out of 10, and I'll push it up to 8.5 out of 10 from a filmmaking masterful craftsmanship perspective.
Okay, and I'll push it up to 7.5 from a craftsman's perspective.
So you can say you love the film, maybe, or you
yes.
really
Yeah, I
and you will watch it again.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool. I just wonder how long.
Can't do thumbs up. It's so cheesy.
No, that's a good one because I've got a lot to